24. Again, the Robinson Boot Shop that we mentioned was there in the 1920s. In the 1930s, the Singer Sewing Machine was at 24 East Winter Street. That was in the 1930s, 1946 to 1969, Major Home Appliances. 1988, at 24 was Whispering Winds Art Gallery. Anyone remember that name? Whispering Winds Art Gallery, right next door to us here. And then it became, in 1990, the Winterdell Gallery. 28, of course, was the Strand. Number 30, late 1800s to the early 1900s, there were Sanderson's and Hefner's livery stables. 1930, by 1930, it had become an area where there were insurance companies. You had Henry's Insurance in 1930. Then it became Buck Insurance. Jack, what do you know about this place? 30 East Winter.
Well, I remember 30 East Winter because I worked there for 2 years after I came back to Delaware, from 74 to 76. It's now part of the Strand lobby on the east end, that little room. When you go in to buy your tickets to the east there, that area, that was the office there. But my late dad went into partnership with Joe Buck in 1949 at that location. And they operated in partnership until 1960. And then my dad bought, when Joe died, and my dad bought his partnership interest out, operated as a sole proprietor until I came, relocated back to Delaware in 74, and we were there for 2 years till we moved over on North Sandusky Street. But it was a very small office. I remember in the back, there was a fireplace, we had a big double desk that we worked. My dad was on one side, I was on the other. Steve Martin, the attorney on North Sandusky Street, bought that double desk, and he has that up in his law office. But you can still see the fireplace where the double desk sat in front of in the Strand lobby there. And just behind that is, of course, the stairs that go up to the second, the theater upstairs, the upstairs Strand Theater. Underneath those stairs was a little storage area where we used to store our files. And I can remember trying to squeeze through a very small door to try to get these files back in that little room underneath those stairs. And but you know, it was a very small, compact office. And I won't go on, but one more memory I'll remember is that building, this building, had for years old steam heat, had a steam boiler. And I can remember, some of you might remember Fiant Plumbing and Heating and Cooling from years past. Well, Dave Fiant, I can remember, used to come and service that boiler. And I can remember one day, it must have been 20 degrees below zero. It was freezing. And Dave, we had a problem with the boiler, and Dave had to crawl underneath. There was just only room to crawl under. He couldn't be claustrophobic underneath there. And he crawled under there, and he came out of that, and he was just sweating to beat the band, soaking wet. And he said, "Oh, I feel so good." And it was 20 below zero. I said, "Dave, you're going to freeze." You know, he's going to become an ice cube. And because he had his T-shirt on, and he was just soaking wet. It was so hot underneath there. And I still remember.
And you moved over then to the corner of what year?
Well, we moved over in 76 to where Fidelity Federal used to be, which is now the cigar shop at 46 North Sandusky Street. We were there for 20 years until I moved down the corner in 96. So, but that was an insurance office there from, I don't know when Joe Buck started, but he was in business there before the partnership became active in 1949.
Well, my record shows 37. 1937, could that be about right? Well, thank you. Yes. 40, we did show the picture of the Delaware Battery Company, and 42 and a half apartments. There were always apartments up above there. And then, as we mentioned, the YMCA. Yes, I actually have it written down here. 1905 to 1922 was the the years of the Y. In the late 50s at 44 on that same court, or in that same building, would have been Sherman Clothing during the 1950s. Ditzler Insurance was there 60 to 84. And at 46, I believe now we have crossed the street. Or let me think. Dunlap Tire and Rubber. I believe it was on the opposite corner. 56, the address of 56, you had Bennett Tractor Sales in 1946 to 55, 59 to 62. There was Cashman's in 1969, Bob's Bargain Furniture. 1970, Norm's Bargain Furniture. 1971 to 74, the House of Barrels. Sounds like it would have fit in well into the 1880s. 1975 to 1992, the cable TV company. Let's move on a few of these pictures because I think we get to that. Yeah, here are the House of Barrel employees. Or no, I'm sorry, that's cable TV, sorry. Those were not House of Barrel employees. And then at 60 was in 1897, Coleman's Steam Laundry. 1955 to 59 was Stimmel's Plumbing, Bob Stimmel's Plumbing and Heating. 1946 to 73 at 80 was Alber's Grocery Store. How many been in Alber's? Anybody here?
And more than...
Who worked in there?
Red. The thing is, the building where the library is
Yes.
still incorporates a large portion of Alber's.
It does. Okay.
Because
Okay.
one of the conditions of funding that was that we wouldn't build a new building there for the library. So they incorporated a portion of the old building and the foundation there and built a new library around what was there. And it had to do with the levy that was passed and promises to the citizens at that time that they weren't going to tear that down and build a new library.
Wow. Okay. Yes.
I don't know if you have any record of the livery stable on the southwest corner of Union and Wednesday. But William Held was proprietor to that livery stable. That's where he had his horses and carriages and so forth. I don't know if you remember, but years and years ago, when you're coming northbound on Union Street, if you look at the south wall on that livery stable, you see little 12 by 12 squares there, and that was there for the stalls for the horses, so they get their. I don't know if you have any record of that, but I don't know how to.
Would you come up here for a moment, please?
Sure.
You would know about Held, wouldn't you? Tell these people who you are.
I'm Joe Held, Jr.
Your family goes back quite a ways, so don't
Yes,
they?
sir. Well, and then I don't know if there's any record on. It used to be Lou's Bar across the street.
Yes.
You remember Lou's Bar?
Right, we have a couple pictures here of it.
Well, my grandfather owned that back in the day, and down below was the bar and so forth, and where people got together. But up above was a house of whatever. So he decided that wasn't his cup of tea. So back in the day, he decided he better just go ahead and sell it. So he sold that and he bought the livery stable. Now, I don't have specifics on dates and so forth. I've got some pictures, I think, at home in the box.
And again, we'd love to have digital copies of any
Yeah.
pictures you would have.
And he bought the livery stable and, run his business there. And up above there was the old hay mow, and that's where the kids from St. Mary's used to gather and play ball. Fody Frensos and Joe Hartsall and Dad, they played basketball up above the hay mow.
Again, exactly where is this?
Southwest corner of Union and Winter.
Southwest corner,
It's
okay.
where the Serum War, part of the Serum War home.
Yes, yes.
But, yeah,
Wow.
that's
Well, that brings back a lot of memories then.
oh gosh, yeah.
Yes. Now, the cab company, I